Today's guest is James Swanwick, an Australian-American entrepreneur, author, and former ESPN SportsCenter anchor. You may know him as the founder of Swanwick Sleep and the creator of the 30-Day No Alcohol Challenge. He's also the author of the book Clear, which dives into the powerful benefits of quitting alcohol and how it transforms your mind, body, and life. James has helped thousands of people around the world take back control of their health and mindset. And today we're here to talk about the 5 biggest benefits of going alcohol-free. Well, James, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me today. So in your book, Clear, you outline powerful benefits of quitting alcohol. So what I want you to do is walk us through your 5 tips and benefits of giving up alcohol, how it has helped you and many others in your life, both physically and mentally.
Well, I was a socially acceptable drinker growing up in Australia, in that I had 2 or 3 drinks most nights of the week, and I would drink heavier on weekends. And I did that for almost 2 decades until I got to age 35, and I woke up in the morning and I looked in the mirror and I had bags under my eyes and my skin was weathered. I was irritable, stressed. I was carrying 35 pounds of unwanted body fat. And I just thought to myself, enough is enough. It's time to make a change. It wasn't that I was an alcoholic or getting arrested or waking up in a ditch, but the mediocrity of drinking had caught up with me after almost 20 years. And I made a decision to quit for what I thought might be 30 days. And so far it's been 15 years. I've been alcohol free now. And so one of the main things and the main benefits that I've got from that, just initially, and this is kind of more around the ego and aesthetics, is that I lost a tremendous amount of unwanted body weight, a lot of visceral fat. Just a warning, you do get better looking when you stop drinking alcohol. The poison and the toxins from the alcohol kind of are removed from your skin, and our body's largest organ is our skin. And so when you stop drinking alcohol, it's amazing how many people will come up to you and go, wow, have you been working out? Wow, you look great. What's going on? What's your beauty regimen? And really all it is that you just stop consuming poison, which ends up showing up in your skin and in your face. So first thing I would say was weight loss, unwanted weight loss. I'm sorry, what I mean is unwanted body weight that you're able to lose. Desirable fat loss is what I'm talking about. And that then showed up in having more energy and clarity and more self-confidence. I looked better naked, felt good about myself. I think I achieved the body that nature intended me to have. I don't have a 6-pack, or I'm not, posing for Instagram photos with my shirt off or anything, but I feel like I have the body that nature intended me to have. But when we're drinking, we tend not to feel that way.
Yeah, so I know you and I don't know each other real well because we've just met, but Bob from Bob and Brad quit drinking a while ago because he has some medical conditions. He's in his 60s. And I quit alcohol in 2019. So I was in my early 30s. But yeah, I kind of understand where you're coming from. You make better decisions. Usually when you're intoxicated, you get more calories from the beverages. Plus then you normally want to eat after you're drinking. So it can definitely add up there.
Yes. So that's one thing. The second thing I would say is that my sleep was considerably better. And I always say better sleep equals a better life. Alcohol absolutely destroys REM sleep, and quitting alcohol leads to deeper, more restorative sleep. So I certainly woke up more energized and not exhausted. Now, most people are drinking alcohol close to bedtime, and in actual fact, you're better off drinking for breakfast than you are anywhere close to bedtime, because at least then the body has 16 hours to try to rid itself of the toxins that you've just digested with the drink. The challenge is when people drink close to bedtime, we're putting our body for a night's work. We're clocking in for a night's work. The liver now has to process the toxins. The body has to move. The heart rate goes up. We're trying to get rid of these poison, this poison that we've just consumed. And then that shows up with either having trouble falling asleep, or even if you can fall asleep, you toss and turn. You don't spend as long in that deep phase of sleep. You don't spend as long in that REM restorative phase of sleep. And then you wake up and you're irritable and you're tired. Even if you've felt like you were asleep for 7 hours, you're still tired and lethargic just because you had that seemingly innocent drink the night before. So that's the challenge. Now, when I stopped drinking, my sleep improved. In fact, I've been tracking my sleep in recent years with an Aura Ring, and I get most of the nights at least 7 hours of actual sleep, sometimes 8. But usually, if I'm anything that starts with a 7, I'm very happy. We actually had a client go through our 90-day stop drinking process a couple of years ago. His name's Evan Melcher. He's a financial services manager out of Atlanta, Georgia, and he was tracking his heart rate variability with his Aura Ring as a drinker. And then he joined our 90-day stop drinking program, which is called Project 90. And then he tracked his heart rate variability during those 90 days where he initially stopped, and then over the subsequent 9 months. So a full year, he tracked his sleep. He estimated he saved 5 million heartbeats in 12 months from just stopping drinking alcohol. His heart was going like something like this as a drinker. Maybe that's a little too fast, but you get the point, right? Mm-hmm. And then he stopped drinking alcohol and his heart rate returned to something more like this. And the difference, 5 million heartbeats per year. That is extraordinary. So I would invite your listener to just think about, how is that seemingly innocent drink or 2 or 3 at the end of the night really affecting your sleep, and therefore spinning off into the following day, which a bad night's sleep can lead to irritability, which means you argue with your husband or your wife, or you're snappy with your children, or you curse the traffic, or you're impatient in the grocery line, or you say something that you regret afterwards to a colleague or a staff member or an employee or a boss. And then that shows up with you wanting to give yourself a little sugary treat to give you a little bit of an energy boost because you're tired from the night before. And so now you reach for a muffin or a chocolate bar or a Gatorade or something, which gives you this temporary burst. But of course, now you're drinking lots of unwanted and undesirable calories. You have a sugar spike, then you have a sugar crash. And then all you're doing is trying to get home at the end of the day so you can pour yourself another glass of wine to quote unquote relax. And then the cycle continues. So the second benefit I got from stopping drinking was an extraordinary night's sleep.
If you have people that join your class, do any of them, I've heard people say they can't sleep unless they drink. What do you find beneficial for them?
Anything else that is not consuming alcohol. And many of those things can be getting sunlight first thing in the morning, because that sets your body's internal body clock, which is called our circadian rhythm. And that understands, oh, okay, sunlight, right, this is wake up time. No problems, I got you. 16 hours later, I'll start to release melatonin and help you go to sleep. But most people aren't doing that. They're not consciously or intentionally going out and getting natural sunlight. They're staying indoors, they're going into their garage, getting in their car, driving to an office, going inside. They're rarely out in the sun. And so our body's a bit confused. Is it nighttime? Is it daytime? I don't know what's going on. So a great night's sleep, if you have trouble falling asleep, can start with what you do first thing in the morning, which is exposing yourself to natural sunlight. Stop drinking coffee after, say, 12 p.m. I always have a rule that I don't drink any coffee in the afternoon. Coffee is only for morning, because coffee can be, it is a stimulant, and it can disrupt your melatonin release and therefore your ability to be able to fall asleep. Morning exercise has been shown to be better for sleep than evening exercise. They think that's because when you exercise in the morning, you tend to be healthier because you tend to do it with more regularity, and that helps you sleep. Also, if you exercise too close to bedtime, it raises your core body temperature, but we actually want our body temperature to be nice and cool for a great night's sleep. Wearing a pair of quality blue blocking glasses, I would definitely recommend. A pair of orange lensed blue blockers. I have a company called Swanwick Sleep. We produce these glasses affectionately known as Swannies. And the orange lens blocks out the artificial blue light from your microwave light, kitchen light, refrigerator light, bathroom light, cell phone, television, iPad, etc. light. Wear those in the last hour before you go to sleep, and then remove them once you're in bed so you can sleep comfortably. That will also help release a lot of the melatonin that if you weren't wearing the glasses might suppress that melatonin release. And then also try to refrain from eating within 3 hours of your planned sleep time, because the body is still digesting food within that 3 hours, and we want to make sure we're going to sleep not in a working space, but in a non-working space. We want our body to rest during the night, not have to go to work. So if you do those kind of things, that will certainly, I would submit, help people fall asleep a lot quicker.
And what is your third benefit, you would say, of quitting alcohol?
I lived a life of appreciation instead of expectation, and therefore my stress and anxiety dropped exponentially. So what I mean by that is when I stopped drinking alcohol, I stopped being irritable and envious and jealous of other people. I started to focus on what I had versus focusing on what I did not have. And there's a lot of science that and a lot of studies that show that any daily gratitude practice, whether it's the way I do it, which I'll share in just a moment, or whether it's anything that you do, a daily gratitude practice has been shown to reduce cravings for any drug, including alcohol, by up to 30%. That's extraordinary. So if you're someone who's craving sugar, craving porn, craving love, craving shopping, craving alcohol, craving marijuana or a hit or a vape or whatever, just live a life of appreciation, write down things that you're grateful for, look around you and start focusing on what you're grateful for. That is enough to reduce your cravings by an incredible 30%. That's extraordinary. So what happened to me was when I started living that life of appreciation, I started journaling. I did this practice called the Daily 20. And the Daily 20 is I write down 20 things I'm grateful for each morning, 20 things, not 3, not 5, that's cute, but 20. And the reason I do 20 is because I'm wanting to activate what's called the reticular activating system, which is a bundle of nerves in the front of our mind and our brain, I should say, which if we focus on something, we focus on a topic, we tend to see more of those things. For example, if you and I, Mike, started talking about red cars, I've got a red car, maybe I'll buy a red car. I don't know if I'm going to buy a red car. We'll go out on the streets in our respective cities, wherever we are in the world, and we'll just start to naturally see more red cars. Now, those red cars will have already been there. We're always going to be there. But now our RAS, that bundle of nerves in the brain, is now seeing it. So likewise with gratitude, if we are writing down 20 things we're grateful for each day, and that's the first thing we do in the morning, what I have experienced is that I go out in the day and I just start seeing more things to be grateful for because I wrote down the 20 things in the morning. Even silly things, seemingly silly things like, oh, look at that lovely bird. Geez, the grass is green at the moment. There must have been a lot of rain. Well, it looks really nice. Oh, wow, I love the air quality here. This food is delicious. God, I can't believe I get to go in and run my business. Wow, isn't it extraordinary that I'm being interviewed on a podcast today, that people actually care what I have to say? Wow, what a gift. I start to think that. I start to see that, as opposed to what I would submit many, if not most people are doing, which is, man, this is tough. Oh, man, I got a podcast at 1 o'clock. God, my days are so busy. Oh, I got to talk to this guy, Mike. I don't really know him. Oh, what's this podcast again? Oh, this isn't. Oh, I got other things to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh God, we've got another sunny day. Geez, I just want a rainy day, for goodness sake. So that's what happened to me. I started being more appreciative of the life that I had, as opposed to having these expectations of how I thought life should go.
You kind of sounded like me this morning when I was thinking about what I had to do today. I will admit, when it's a weekend, I'm much more the happy, grateful, take my time in the morning. But on work days, it's a little chaotic in my brain. But that's a good idea to write down 20 things I'm grateful for. I can't say I journal. I have thoughts. I don't write them down, but that should be something I should try.
Well, when you go to the gym, what do? You work hard to build a muscle, right? You break down the muscle fibers, and then when you rest, the muscle grows bigger and stronger. So same thing with gratitude, quote unquote, force yourself to think of 20 things to be grateful for. Like, it should feel uncomfortable. You should be searching for it. What do I do? What should I? Well, this is a bit challenging. I can come up with 5, okay, but 20. Well, this is a bit hard. When it feels hard, that's where you're getting the most benefit, because you're breaking down that fiber and now allowing your mind to grow back stronger and to see increasing evidence that life is fantastic.
Sure. No, that's an interesting philosophy. I've not tried it. I experiment with many things, but not that yet. So I'll have to give it a try. So what would your fourth benefit be of quitting alcohol?
My relationships improved exponentially. because I was less irritable and less envious and less jealous and less snappy and less reactive, I was then naturally responsive and generous and open and loving and caring. When I was a drinker, I was living in Los Angeles, California, and my parents would phone me from where I grew up in Brisbane, Australia. And they would call me in a Californian afternoon. And whenever they would call me, I would go, oh, my mum always calls at an inopportune time. Oh, my bloody dad's calling me again. I'm busy. Like, oh, God, why do they always do that? Then I stopped drinking. My stress and anxiety went down. I started just feeling more open and loving and caring and understanding just naturally. I didn't like really work on it. That was just a byproduct of not having attractively packaged poison inside of me. And then my parents would then phone me at exactly the same time as they always did. But this time I'd go, oh, my mum's calling. Yeah, let me talk to my mum. Oh, my dad. Oh, yeah, it's been a week. Great. Let me have a chat with my dad. And then later on, I shifted it from, I'm going to phone my mum. I'm going to phone my dad. I'm not going to wait for them to phone me to see how I'm doing. I'm actually going to proactively phone them. So that was a big difference. That was a big shift. I went from looking at relationships as transactional in many cases, like what can this person do for me? What can I get out of this? How can I suck up to this person and be nice so that I get something back in return? To when I was alcohol free, which was more of, not always, but more of, a lot more of, how can I just give and be generous without anything in return, except the feeling, of course, of feeling good about myself that I gave something, right? How can I not have transactional relationships or strategic relationships, but rather how can I just be a good person, be a good man, be a good son, be a good lover, be a good acquaintance, be a good employee, be a good boss, be a good role model, be a nice and polite person to the Starbucks person who's serving me a coffee in the morning, as opposed to feeling irritable and stressed that he or she is taking too long to get my damn coffee, which is how I used to feel. So all those relationships, not just with parents and my wife or daughter or brothers or sisters or friends or colleagues, but just people that you don't even notice, like the barista at Starbucks, the person who's at working the cash register in the grocery store, the person in traffic who cut you off. Instead of like rolling down the window and yelling at them and giving them the finger, you just go, oh, I got cut off. That's interesting. You just smile. So those relationships really shifted when I removed the trigger for stress and anxiety and irritability, which is alcohol.
That's yeah, you had a whole 360 flip on your life perspective, it sounds like.
Yes, I did. And I would submit I was always naturally a good person. It's just I had something in the way of that good person energy coming through. I always say that to our clients over at our organization, Alcohol Free Lifestyle. And I write about this in my book, Clear, which is nobody's broken. We're all perfect. We just have something temporarily in the way of that perfection shining through. And so that's what happens when you stop drinking alcohol. You stop drinking the poison, you stop drinking the spirits that take over your mind and your body. You just remove that, and suddenly the natural you just shines through. In fact, many believe that the word alcohol comes from an Arabic term, al-kuhul, which is translated as which is translated as a body-eating spirit. So it's literally a spirit that possesses you. And so you remove that spirit, and what happens? Well, what naturally happens? You get the body nature intended you to have. You have the mindset nature intended you to have. You have the movement, the thoughts, the feelings. It's not like you got to be a massively peak performer and be trying to get your six-pack abs and get down to a certain body weight percentage and like be so strict and regimented with your life that you're void of fun. But fun just shines through when you remove the very thing that's holding you back. And the analogy I often use is that stop trying to put your foot down harder on the gas and on the accelerator to go faster, while simultaneously having your foot on the brake, which in this analogy is alcohol. How about you just take your foot off the brake, which in this case means removing the alcohol, without even pressing harder on the accelerator. You'll just naturally go faster and easier and simpler. It'll feel great.
And what is your fifth benefit you found?
More confidence, self-confidence. No more anxiety, blackouts, no more embarrassing moments. I stayed in control, present, self-assured in most situations. Physically, my testosterone levels got up to around 1,000 without doing anything. No replacement therapy, nothing like that. I just ate better, didn't drink poison, did personal development programs, learned how to do conscious communication, learned the difference between reacting to something and responding to something. More confidence, increasing self-confidence. I'm not talking about ego, bravado, cockiness, being pompous. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just a deep appreciation for myself. A lot of folks who come to us when they're struggling with drinking, they haven't been able to stop. They come to our Project 90 program, they want to stop drinking. A lot of the common verbiage I hear is, I've lost my confidence. I've got a lot of shame, regret. I'm embarrassed, scared. I'm timid. I'm unsure, scared for the future, lamenting the past. I've made mistakes. I'm no good. I'm broken. Hear any variation of that story when people come to me who've been drinking for many years or even decades, and they're just saying, please help me. I need to stop. How do I stop? That's what I hear. And then when we show them how to stop, we walk them through our neuroscience-based process, and then they successfully stop. And they love living an alcohol-free lifestyle, not through being sober or needing to white knuckle it, but rather they choose an alcohol-free lifestyle and they love it and they see it as fun and preferable and desirable, and they embed that lifestyle. Then I start hearing verbiage like, oh, I've fallen in love with myself again. Wow, I just feel better about myself again. You know, my son said to me the other day, I'm proud of you, Mum. You know, my daughter said to me, I'm proud of you, Dad. You know, my kids actually phoned me for the first time in a couple of years the other day. It's always me chasing them, trying to see how they're doing. You know, my son called me the other day. That's a change. Wow, I feel so good about that. I feel so good about the fact that my children actually want to talk to me and will actually proactively reach out to spend time with me. Damn, that feels good. Wow, you know what? I lost 20 pounds in the 90 days that I stopped drinking. I actually got into my size 32 waist jeans again. Haven't been in 32 waist jeans since high school. Damn, feeling pretty good. And so forth and so forth. That's what so for me, I got my self-confidence back, and certainly that has been the experience of most of our stop drinking clients when they embed that alcohol-free lifestyle.
Yeah, I think I'd like to highlight something you said earlier is just because you quit drinking doesn't mean you can't still have fun, because I play music with people and 3/5 of my band still drink pretty hard when we go out, but two of us don't. And I will admit, I still have plenty of fun not having alcohol. And if they're really your friends, they won't be upset you quit drinking at all. They'll support you for whatever reason and why you quit. It's the people that keep egging you on that you don't really need in your life anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that when I stopped drinking alcohol, I didn't intentionally cut my friends, but what I found is that I naturally gravitated towards a different group of friends who had, let's say, higher energy, who were more health conscious, who didn't require alcohol for social connection or romance or bonding or celebration or commiseration. And their frequency of that new demographic of acquaintance and friend was much higher, much more desirable, I found. And that wasn't me judging my friends, my original drinking buddies. It was just, I just naturally gravitated towards this other group of people, and these other group of people naturally gravitated towards me, like attracts like, so to speak. And I think it's very boring when people say, oh, not going to have a drink. Geez, you're dull. Geez, you're boring. Like, the boring attitude is what I just put forward. Someone thinking that alcohol equals fun and good times and not drinking alcohol equals pain and deprivation. It's such a lazy thought, such a lazy feeling. I submit it's the other way around. Every time you're living an alcohol-free day or week or month or year, that's the special occasion. That's the joy. That's the romance. That's the celebration. That's the gift. That's the joy. But most of people in life, the 400 million people in the world who currently experience an alcohol use disorder, according to recent studies, are walking around associating alcohol with fun or pain relief or stress relief or anxiety relief, and not drinking alcohol as stress and anxiety and deprivation and boredom and being dull. 7,000 people a day die from alcohol-related health concerns and challenges. 7,000 a day. 400 million people in the world have an alcohol use disorder. To put that in context, only 80 million people have any other drug use disorder, heroin, meth, opioids, etc. 5 times as many people have an alcohol use disorder than any other drug. Let that sink in.
So, James, where can people find more information about you and your books?
I wrote a book called Clear, a neuroscience-based approach to quit drinking without willpower, rehab, or AA. You can find that on Amazon. There's an audio book. I'm the narrator of the book as well. So you can put me on 2-speed if you like, just to hurry me up. You can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/clear. That will give you the option to get the hard copy or the soft cover version. But yeah, you can go on, Audible and Amazon and find it anywhere online where books are sold. And then any other details you want to get about the Project 90 stop drinking process, you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/project90. And then I'm pretty active on Instagram, which is just my name, @James Swanwick.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciated the podcast, and everyone, I will link James' website and his books down below in the show notes. So if you want to find them, feel free to click on them there.